Hi everybody, so today I'm going to go over the tape reading chart. So the tape reading chart is one of the charts that Wyckoff uses. In swing trading, he uses a bar chart and a P&F chart. In active tape reading, he uses a bar chart, or excuse me, a wave chart and a tape reading chart. Tape reading chart is a point and figure chart with volume. So you can consider it to be a point and figure footprint. And it's really important. All right. So why is it important? What does it do? And what are its benefits? So the key is, first you have to understand that there is accumulation and then markup. Okay. So that's something that you have to understand. Okay. First step is to understand this. And similarly, there's distribution and then markdown. So this is all part of the Wyckoff price cycle and markdown. So now that you understand this simple concept of accumulation and markup, distribution, markdown, all this is really saying is that I buy everything at one price level, so the price increases. Or I sell everything at one price level, and that's why the price decreases. So the reason why price went up is because I bought everything at a lower price, and it had to go up because I bought everything at the lower price. And similarly, I sold everything at a higher price, so now it has to go down. So this is very logical to say, if something was trading at $10, I bought everything at $10, they're going to increase the price because all the sellers are gone. I bought everything at 10, so now price goes up, and there'll be sellers at like 12. So that's the idea. It's very, very logical. So now how to use the tape reading chart is it helps you buy pullbacks. Meaning it helps you buy pullbacks and trade reversals at pullbacks. So we use this for buying pullbacks. All right. So how do you do this? You have a rally and you have a pullback, right? So the problem here that we're solving is where and when to buy. Again, where and when to buy. Where do I buy and when do I buy? This is the biggest problem pullback traders have, or one of the problems they have to solve is where do I buy it and when do I buy it? So what you'll see is how people solve this is like 100 different ways. Some buy a VWAP, they wait for the pullback to VWAP and reverse. Others will buy a level, like a break-in test, so test the breakout and buy it there. A third will do it based off of some pattern on the pullback. Someone else might buy it based off of a test of an order block. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So what the tape reading chart says is forget all that. Let's just see where the pressure was in the background and see what happens when price goes to that level. That solves the question of where to buy. Where to buy. Okay? Where to buy? Prior accumulation and absorption levels. That's what it helps you detect. Basically, where there's prior heavy volume indicating typically prior accumulation and absorption. And obviously on the short side, it would be where to buy would be prior distribution and absorption levels. Okay? So now how does this happen? Well, this rally that you have here is going to be a column. That column will look like this. It'll be like that. It'll be chopped up. So this rally equals this column. So let's say the first is only 100 contracts, then it's 200 contracts, then 100 contracts, then 500 contracts in the middle somewhere. Okay? So then 100, then 100. So what this is saying is this in the middle is very important. This is some type of absorption that led to follow through. So when price comes back down to test, we look, because this answers the question of where to buy, where the absorption was. Okay, and when price comes back, it'll test, buyers step in like they did before. That is our assumption, and we verify it, and price goes up. Okay. The other case is accumulation. This happens in two cases of accumulation. And this 5 is going to be at the lows. Okay? So price will go all the way down here. They will defend it, and then it goes up. And the final case of accumulation this is absorption case. This is accumulation. How do you know it's accumulation? Because it's at the low. Or they buy low, and that causes price to go up. And the final case of accumulation is instead of the high volume print being inside this rally, it's next to it. So it'll be like right here or in the box below. Okay, so these are the two cases of accumulation. It's either inside the rally or right next to it. Inside the rally or right next to it. And in the case of absorption, it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Never will it be at the top. Never will accumulation be at the top. That's actually some profit taking or distribution. So you have to remember that when we're doing longs and there's a rally and we want to buy pullbacks, we look for absorption and accumulation. Absorption will be a high volume print in the middle, like right here somewhere. Accumulation will be near the lows, either inside the rally or right before it. Okay, so this is absorption in the middle, accumulation 1 in the bottom, or accumulation, second example, right next to it. And what we do is we wait for price to come all the way back, and we might catch a reversal here, and then it goes up. Okay, now the tape reading chart shows this. Without this, you cannot see jack shit. You just see, candle, green, red, you don't know, and definitely you will not be able to quantify. Even if you draw a profile, you will not be able to quantify, and sometimes it's just not clear. If you draw a manual profile, it just has a histograms that's sideways, it's just not clear. With the tape reading chart, it provides the clarity that the profile doesn't provide. So first, you don't have to draw the profile, and second, you get more clarity about the volume and the absorption and accumulation, and wait for it to get test and then the reversal to occur. So this is how you use this type of chart for pullback trading. Okay, now this is different from traditional PNF, where you're going to be looking at, what people do is they look at all the base and they do a count and say, okay, this is going to go to this target. We are not using it for that purpose. All right, you could use it, you could do the count, but don't put too much weight into the count. For intraday trading, because it's ruled by support and resistance levels of higher time frames, you don't want to just count and think it's going to go to the moon. Although it's okay if you do that, but the real benefit is this: absorption and accumulation, or absorption and distribution, which would just be this example turned upside down. All right, now that I'm done with this part of the theory, we see the exact, let's take a look. All right. So this is a wrong time because it's after hours. But the idea is, for example, this right here. All right, this right here. I would know to look at this because of this rally. You see this? There was a rally. Let's go to the rally. All right, what the hell is the rally? Okay, there's your rally, right? So we have a rally. It doesn't matter if you want to trade intraday or swing trading, it's the same concept. All right, even on the higher time frames, I would recommend do not use point and figure without the volume, because now we have the technology where you can have the point and figure with the volume. It's much more clear than just doing counts, left to right or right to left. So anyway, the point is, whatever chart you're using, whether it's daily or hourly, 4 hour, or here, minute based, like 5 minute or 3 minute, right? You see a rally, okay? So now the problem is where to buy and when to buy. These are two questions. Where do I buy and when do I buy? Or do I buy at all, right? If I want to buy, I want to know where and when. That's it. That's the fundamental question for entry. Where and when? So we have the rally. Now we go to the tape reading chart and we say, so in the background of this, bring the breakout a little lower, right? I don't want to buy up here, okay? I don't want to buy here. I want to buy the accumulation or absorption. What do I see here in the background is that this area is accumulation. This is the accumulation that led to this markup or this breakout. I have a rally. I want to buy the pullback. Do I buy it here? No. Where do I buy it? Against this 27, right? 2,700 contracts, something like that. So now I'm going to look at this level. So now I know where to buy. It's in this area. In this area. Okay, so I see the rally. After a rally, where do I buy? The rally is this breakout. I want to buy a test of accumulation or absorption. Accumulation is here. So now it's going to ding back, go right back to that area. And now I'm at that trade location. Now when do I buy? When do I buy? There's a green bar or whatever reversal bar. That's your buy. Done. This is the accumulation. Here you cannot tell. It's like ding-donging back and forth. You can't tell shit. But here you can tell that's accumulation because of the high volume prints followed by the markup. So now, just wait for the test and the reversal green bar. I like this one because it's big green bar. And then it leads to some move. Okay. Similarly, I might see another rally somewhere here. Even in this case, this is not the right time, but even in this case, if this is a rally, right? Where do I buy? I look in the background and try to find accumulation, right, or absorption. This is it, the 10. There's a big number right here, tagged, and goes up. It retest, tag, goes up. All right? Now let's see if it's happening right now. Okay, the case for distribution, you have this breakdown right here, right? So again, I'm going to look for distribution. Distribution is either in or right next to it. This could be a potential distribution right here that led to this move down. So when price goes back into this area, it might have some problem. Okay. I guess it had a problem over here. Right? All right, where are we now? And I'll do it, current. All right. Okay, now here's a good example. All right. you have a rally. Where and when do I buy? This right here. This one. There's some here too. So what usually happens when you have potential two accumulations, right, is it does an ABC correction. It goes down, tags this, pop a little bit, then comes back down, tags this, and then makes the new high. Okay? So, again, I see a rally, right? I see a rally. Okay, this is a rally. Now what am I going to do? Again, I have where and when do I buy? Where and when do I buy? Where do I buy is the first question. Once I determine that, when do I buy is the second question. Where I'm going to buy is only two spots. Former accumulation or former absorption. Where is the accumulation? It's right here. Right? Why? How do I know? How do I know is that it's high volume followed by a big green bar, which is the markup that confirms the accumulation. Here again, you have this followed by the big green bar, right? So high volume, there's a lot of trading. One guy's selling, another guy's buying, and the buyer wins, so it marks up strong. Why? Because he bought everything at this level. How do you know? The big volume say bought everything. All right. Let's even here. Where's the accumulation? First, you need to see the rally. This is the rally. Where's the accumulation corresponding to this rally? It's right here. Someone at 75.16 bought a lot of contracts. How do you know? Look at the number. It's highlighted. It's 7. 7 is the biggest number, right? It's the biggest number in all of these numbers, like 20, 30 numbers here. It's the biggest number. What happened after that? Markup. Boom. So this is accumulation. This is accumulation comes two flavors. One is right next to it, and the other is in it, near the lows. If it's in the middle, it's absorption. Like right here is absorption. Why? You have 4 and 4, you're absorbing these sellers right here. That's why the number increased from 2 to 4, because they took out the resistance. All right. Then what happened? It pulled back. The numbers increased. Why did they increase from 1, 2, 4, 5 to 6? Why? Because someone's buying it. What happens after that? Rallies, which means that the buyer won, so they accumulated. So this is accumulation. He's a strong buyer. What do? Wait for the pullback to this area. That answers the question of where to buy. Then the question of when to buy. As soon as it comes back here, you get a green bar, preferably a strong green bar. And, that's all I need to know. So that means that they're still there and buying more. Where else is it? It's over here, but this is a little bit too high. So here, usually they'll come back and they'll test and be a bounce. That bounce will be a little bounce, and it'll come back down to test this. Right? So 75.38 will 75.38 to 75.36 will get tested first. If it breaks that, then the accumulation at 75.32 will be tested. If that works, it'll take out the high, or at least test the high. This is the way you're tracking the accumulation and trying to trade with them. This is how you do it. So this chart is very, very helpful in that case. All right, it was first introduced by Wyckoff. That's how I know it. It's in his course. I've adapted it for today's markets. It's just with the box size and all that. But it's very, very helpful. And without this, you're really blind in just looking at red and green candles. It doesn't tell you it cannot quantify how much buying pressure is at particular levels. If you don't know that, you're at a disadvantage, because the heavy buying pressure at particular levels is used for trade location. See here, heavy buying pressure. Here, heavy buying pressure. Here, something happened. Here, something happened. This is very high, which means that this might be some selling, some minor distribution, which sets up a retest and a pullback to these areas. Okay? Here, all this volume came in, it had no follow through, pulled back. We'll see if they can break out. If they can't, they're coming back down. So it's telling me someone's either taking profit up here or selling at this level. You can see it, it's highlighted, right? So this is a basic indicator. It highlights, heavy volume. Now, if it pulls back, it's just expected. Where will it pull back to? It will continue to go down until it tags this area. Might have a bounce and go, or it might have a bounce, pull back lower to this area. Why? Because this is where strong hands are. Bulls, the bulls are here and here. The seller is here. All right, so this is how to use the tape reading chart in a very practical and easy way. It's just accumulation and absorption, and on the downside it'll be distribution and absorption and their retest. And when they get retest, then we look to answer the question of when to buy, which is just the green candle, typically a strong green candle. All right, that's all, folks. If you want to know more about this, you can check out Division 2 of the Wyckoff course. I really don't think you need to make this more complicated, because we're just using this for trade location and answering two questions: when to buy, where to buy, and when to buy. And the logic is, we buy accumulation retests or absorption retests if there's still buying activity there on the pullback. That's all, folks.